An old mechanic with more than 50 years of experience once told me a phrase I'll never forget. Most cars don't die of old age. They're murdered by their owners without realizing it. And trust me, he wasn't exaggerating. Most vehicles don't even make it to 60,000 miles because their owners keep repeating habits that seem harmless but are actually death sentences. Mine, on the other hand, has already passed 500,000 miles. And not because it's indestructible, but because I changed 15 very specific things. Today, I'm going to tell you those habits. And let me warn you, the last three on this list will blow your mind because they're details almost nobody does. Yet, they make the difference between a doomed car and an immortal one. Number 15. Change your oil much sooner than the owner's manual recommends. Most people trust the factory's oil change schedule without question. 6,000, 8,000, even 10,000 miles on synthetic. But those intervals were written to keep the car alive just long enough to get through the warranty period. After that, the manufacturer has no financial interest in your engine surviving. In real-world driving, short trips, stop-and-go traffic, frequent cold starts, the oil breaks down far faster than the lab tests suggest. I've cut open engines that followed those long intervals and found thick, tar-like sludge coating every surface, pistons scored, and oil passages blocked. My personal rule: 3,000 miles with conventional oil or 5,000 to 6,000 with full synthetic. It costs a little more upfront, but it's the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy against a catastrophic engine failure. Number 14. Stop warming up the engine by idling for minutes. We were all taught to let the car sit and idle for 5 to 10 minutes on cold mornings. Turns out that's one of the worst things you can do. When the engine is cold, fuel doesn't burn completely and washes down the cylinder walls, diluting and stripping away the protective oil film. The result? Scratched cylinder walls, lost compression, and engines worn out at surprisingly low mileage. The correct way: start the car, give it 20 to 30 seconds to circulate oil, then drive gently for the first couple of miles. The engine actually warms up faster and more evenly while moving. I dropped the idling habit decades ago and never looked back. It's one of the simplest changes that added years to my engine's life. Number 13. Never top off the tank after the pump clicks. It's tempting to squeeze in that last half gallon by clicking the nozzle a few more times. But that extra fuel gets forced backward into the EVAP system, which is designed only to handle vapor, not liquid gasoline. The liquid floods the charcoal canister, soaks the purge valves, and ruins expensive sensors. I've seen EVAP repairs run $600 to $1,200 just because someone wanted to get every drop. Since I started stopping the moment the pump clicks, I've never had an EVAP-related check engine light. That tiny bit of extra fuel simply isn't worth the headache. Number 12. Change the transmission fluid on a schedule, not when it looks dirty. Many owners believe automatic transmission fluid is lifetime because the manual says so. In reality, clutches and gears shed tiny metal particles that turn the fluid into an abrasive paste over time. By the time you notice slipping or harsh shifts, the damage is already severe. My rule: fresh fluid every 60,000 miles or 90,000 max for hybrids. Always using the exact type the manufacturer specifies, no universal fluids. I've watched transmissions that were flushed regularly still look factory new at 400,000 plus miles. Skipping this service is one of the fastest ways to turn a good car into a money pit. Number 11. Brake gently and anticipate stops. Hard, sudden braking doesn't just wear out pads, it overheats the rotors, boils the brake fluid, and warps everything. I've seen rotors warped and pads glazed on cars with under 20,000 miles simply because the driver treated every traffic light like a race finish. My habit: ease off the gas early, coast when possible, and use engine braking on descents. This dramatically extends pad and rotor life, saves fuel, and keeps the braking system cooler and safer. When it is time to replace parts, always choose quality pads and rotors. Cheap ones wear out twice as fast and squeal constantly. Number 10. Flush and replace coolant on schedule. Coolant isn't set it and forget it. Over time, it loses its anti-corrosion and antifreeze properties, and mixing different colors or brands can create dangerous chemical reactions. Modern aluminum engines are especially vulnerable. Once corrosion starts, a warped head or blown head gasket is almost inevitable. My schedule: Complete flush and refill with the factory-specified coolant every 4 to 5 years, or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. No shortcuts, no topping off with whatever's on the shelf. This simple maintenance has kept my cooling system spotless and prevented the kind of overheating disaster that can end an engine overnight. Number 9. Never ignore unusual sounds. Your car is trying to talk to you. Nothing frustrates me more than watching someone crank up the music just to silence a weird noise coming from their car. That's like putting on noise-canceling headphones while your house is on fire. Every rattle, squeal, or clunk is a warning sign, and listening carefully can save you a fortune. A high-pitched whistle when you first turn the key? Probably a serpentine belt that's about to give up. A deep knock when you steer? Could be a failing CV joint. A steady drone that gets louder with speed? Most likely a wheel bearing on its last legs. I once had a customer who laughed off a faint ticking from the engine bay. "It's always done that," he said. A few weeks later, he was stranded with a seized engine because the oil was bone dry and the lifters were starving. Repair cost? Over $2,500. The key is to pay attention to the details. Does the noise appear only when the engine is cold? Only when you're turning? Only under load? Those clues tell you exactly what's wrong and whether it's a cheap fix or a major one. By staying tuned in, I kept my own car running smoothly well past 400,000 miles. Ignoring sounds is the fastest way to turn a small problem into a total loss. Number 8. Treat your clutch like gold if you drive a manual. Resting your left foot on the clutch pedal while driving might feel natural, but it's quietly destroying the clutch disc. The clutch is designed to be fully engaged or fully disengaged. Anything in between is pure wear. I've seen perfectly good manual cars need new clutches at just 30,000 to 40,000 miles because the driver couldn't keep their foot off the pedal. A clutch replacement usually runs $1,200 to $1,800, and 9 times out of 10, it's the driver's bad habit that caused it. My personal rule was simple: foot off the pedal unless I'm actually shifting. At traffic lights, shift to neutral and use the handbrake. On hills, handbrake first, never ride the clutch. That discipline let me get over 220,000 miles on the original clutch, while many others were on their third or fourth. Number 7. Keep at least a quarter tank of fuel at all times. Running on fumes isn't clever, it's dangerous for your fuel pump. The pump lives inside the tank and relies on gasoline to stay cool and lubricated. When the level drops too low, it starts sucking in sediment and hot air, which shortens its life dramatically. I've replaced fuel pumps that failed at under 60,000 miles simply because the owners loved flirting with empty. A new pump plus labor often costs $500 to $800, not counting the tow bill when it dies at the worst possible time. My rule was easy: never go below a quarter tank. It keeps the pump bathed in fuel, extends the life of the fuel filter, and gives you peace of mind. It's one of those tiny habits that quietly adds years to your car. Number 6. Change spark plugs on time, and always use high-quality ones. Those 100,000-mile spark plugs are only that durable in ideal lab conditions. In real life, stop-and-go traffic, cold mornings, questionable gas, they wear out much sooner. I made it a habit to inspect and replace plugs every 40,000 to 50,000 miles, always with OEM or trusted brands like NGK or Denso. Cheap knockoffs can cause misfires, destroy catalytic converters, and even damage pistons. I once saw an engine ruined because a shop saved $30 by using bargain plugs. The final repair bill was over $3,000. Fresh, quality plugs make the engine start instantly, run smoother, and sip fuel more efficiently. It's one of the best investments you can make for long-term health. Number 5. Inspect and replace engine mounts before they fail. Engine mounts are the rubber cushions that keep your engine from shaking the whole car apart. When they crack or collapse, the engine starts rocking violently, putting stress on the transmission, exhaust, radiator hoses, and more. Early signs are subtle: a slight vibration through the steering wheel, a thud when shifting gears, or extra movement when you rev the engine and drive. I've seen neglected mounts cause cracked exhaust manifolds, torn radiator hoses, and even misaligned drive lines. One customer's engine was literally hanging half off its mounts because he thought old cars just shake more. The fix is cheap if caught early, often just a few $100s. A simple test is to have someone press the brake and rev the engine in gear while you watch from under the hood. If the engine tilts more than an inch or two, it's time for new mounts. Number 4. Never neglect the underbody. Rust is the silent car killer. You can spend hours waxing the paint until it gleams, but if you ignore the underside, rust will eat your car from the inside out. Salt, mud, and moisture are relentless. I've lifted cars that looked showroom perfect on top, but had suspension arms, subframes, and floors that were rusted through. My routine was straightforward. Monthly underbody pressure wash in winter, or every 2 weeks in salty regions, and a fresh coat of rust-proofing spray once a year. It's inexpensive and can easily add 10 to 20 years of life to the chassis. My own car, at 500,000 plus miles, still has a rock-solid undercarriage. Number 3. Always get proof before approving any urgent repair. Dealerships and some shops are trained to scare customers into expensive services. You need a transmission flush right now, or it'll fail soon on a 30,000-mile car. That's usually nonsense. I've seen people pay hundreds for unnecessary flushes, injector cleanings, and add-ons they didn't need. My rule: if they say something is broken, show me photos or a video. If they hesitate, I walk away and get a second opinion. That healthy skepticism saved me thousands over the years. The best shops are happy to show proof. The shady ones aren't. Number 2. Keep your battery terminals spotless and protected. A thin layer of white corrosion on the terminals can turn a perfectly good battery into a dead one overnight. It blocks current, overworks the alternator, and can even fry other electrical components. I check mine every few months, clean with baking soda and a wire brush, then coat with dielectric grease. It takes 5 minutes and prevents most common electrical failures. I've seen customers pay $800 for a new starter only to discover the real problem was dirty terminals. A little maintenance here keeps everything from the starter to the infotainment system happy. Number 1. Always use the parking brake, every single time. The parking pawl in your transmission is not designed to hold the full weight of the car on a slope. It's a small metal pin meant only for final locking. Relying on it alone can shear it off or damage the transmission internals. I've seen $3,000 plus transmission repairs caused by people who never used the handbrake. The fix costs nothing. Just pull the lever or press the button before shifting to park. My habit: handbrake first, then park, whether it's uphill, downhill, or flat. It's the single cheapest way to protect one of the most expensive parts of your car. So, which of these habits are you already following? And which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more real-world tips that mechanics don't always share. Your car and your bank account will thank you.